That was one of the things I thought about when I took this job. Is this something I want to be doing, like taking people's jobs? I don't want to stand there for more than 2 hours.
Do you think there's truth behind that?
I honestly believe this is going to make coding accessible to more people. They don't want to do this job.
Robots
Yeah,
taking jobs?
robots gonna take over the world.
Most people think manufacturing's dirty, boring, or dying. They're dead wrong. This is Manufacturing Runs the World. We're here to fix the misconceptions, teaching the next generation how modern manufacturing really works and why it matters more than ever.
So, how long have you been at Miso?
I think about 3.5 years.
And you're a roboticist, right?
Yeah.
Cool. For those who might not know exactly what that means, can you kind of describe what a roboticist does?
Sure, I think it's different to different roboticists. A robot can consist of many moving parts, right? And then there's so many angles to making a robot. There's the actual mechanical part of it, and
Right.
then there's also the controls or the electronics part, and then there's the controlling it and the software part. I like to sit in between the software and the controls part of it. That's what being a roboticist means to me. I love playing with robots. I'm not so interested in actually like building one from scratch, but hey, give me a robot and I'd love to like do things with it,
Yeah, make it do something cool.
make it do something cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, do you work on Flippy then?
Yeah, I work on Flippy. Yeah.
Cool. That's like Miso's flagship product, correct?
Exactly, yeah. Flippy's our flagship product. It's a frying robot. Basically, anything that needs to be, we cater to the fast food industry. So anything that needs to be fried, our robot can take care of that.
Nice. Was there any mistakes you made early on that taught you something maybe every engineer should know?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm sure I made many. One mistake I'd say I'd make is not asking enough questions in the
Uh,
beginning. Like because you come into a company and you think that you're supposed to know everything, day one of the job. But then, now I know that, oh, it's okay to not know. But at that point, you're like, oh, I need to know everything. So I can't let them know that I don't know. Kind of, you come
yep.
in with that mindset and then you try to figure it out and then it takes you much longer and you're wrong at a lot more things then. And I think that was a lesson I learned early on. I also had a great manager at that point who was very calm and, very supportive and helpful and made me feel comfortable as I went along. Just ask more questions. I think I got this. I think I got this, and not actually like probe more and try to understand why,
Yep. Yeah, that's one of those universal ones that's good
It's
in
pretty
any
much a
career.
universal one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's a
So
good one.
not like engineering specific, but I do think it's really important because now I'm so confident about asking questions. I don't really think about, oh, is this a stupid question to ask? Doesn't cross my mind anymore. And that really opens up a lot of confident asking the questions.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're in kind of this robotics and automation space, and that's kind of a pretty controversial subject, right? Robots
Yeah.
taking jobs. Do you think there's truth behind that, or what do you think is the actual truth behind that?
Yeah, it's actually going back to your previous question. You said, what's one of the questions I get a lot is actually if I tell people, say I'm in an Uber or I'm somewhere and I'm just chatting, I tell them, oh, I'm a robotics engineer. They say, oh, our robot's going to take over the world or jobs. I don't want to lean towards any extreme, but there's definitely truth to it. I think with any kind of big change in industry, there are changes to the kinds of jobs that are available, upscaling or different kind of jobs that come up and some jobs that kind of become obsolete. So yeah, I do think there is truth to that and I do worry about that as well. If I take the example of Flippy itself, we're having Flippy work at these fry stations, right? And the kind of feedback, that was one of the things I thought about when I took this job. Is this something I want to be doing, like taking people's jobs? But
Sure.
as I kind of interact with the people who work with Flippy at these restaurants, I've been to a couple of these installations and actually installed the robots and spoken to them. They are so happy because they don't want to do this job. Nobody
Yep.
wants to stand in front of the fry station for even just installing it. I don't want to stand there for more than 2 hours,
Yeah.
and you have to do that for 8 hours. And I remember there was one restaurant, they actually held a birthday for Flippy when, Flippy turned a year old over there. So it was really adorable. Yeah, yes and no. I think some jobs change. People who were probably doing the fry stations, their jobs would shift to something else. Like
Mhm.
it would probably be more like maintaining the robot or understanding how to use it.
Yeah, I feel the same way that automation in a large way can make things easier for people, right? Because to your point, who wants to sit in front of a hot fry station? You have the
Right.
potential to get burned. So,
Exactly.
I mean, it's making it safer. It's making it easier for people. I like to think of it as improving their quality of work life, right?
Right.
They're not sitting there 8 hours flipping fries.
I agree. And even if you look at, let's say, computer science coding jobs, people have been talking about how, like, oh, coding is going to become obsolete. But I actually don't agree with that. Like what you were saying, the work-life balance is actually going to get better. I use, Copilot and stuff and while I code now, and it just makes it faster. I don't think I'm not coding myself into becoming obsolete.
I use ChatGPT a ton in making all of my episodes too.
Okay.
It's hugely helpful. I'm a coder by trade originally.
Mm-hmm.
I taught myself to code. And
Oh,
now, like ChatGPT, any learning language model out there can do stuff in a half the time, quarter of the time, a tenth of the time that I used to program stuff. So,
yeah, it's so impressive. And I honestly believe this is going to make coding accessible to more people than, take people away from this field. Because
yeah.
so many people can now do it so, much more easily than before.
Walk me
Yeah.
through a typical day in accomplishing what you need to do for work.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you come in, start the day with a daily stand up
Mhm.
where we kind of update each other on where we are, what we're doing, if we need help. So, yeah, we start the day, update each other. Depending on the task, a lot of times my work could be more in the simulation software where we have Flippy running,
Oh,
where you kind of, figuring out the differences between simulation and the real world. For example, if you have an install coming up, what are the site specific differences that could affect the way we have Flippy set up right now, and how do we accommodate all of that? Or if we have some kind of a new fryer model to work with, it's kind of hard to do that in simulation. You want to actually physically look at the fryer, look at Flippy, what kind of motions Flippy can actually do around this fryer, because there might be this one slight slope which on the edge of the fryer which we've not seen on other fryers. So maybe that makes the motions a little more difficult. So how do you accommodate for that stuff? It's a lot of interaction. It's not independent work. You kind of have to talk to the mechanical team and tell them that, hey, this part, for example, on the fryer that might come in the way, what can we do about it? Sometimes we have issues that happen on the fleet that's already out there. So those might just come up, and a restaurant can't afford to just have their robot down. So
right.
sometimes you have to just kind of quickly get that going. And we have a great support team that actually takes care of it for the most part. But sometimes if it gets escalated, that comes up, and that becomes priority. So, it's a little dynamic. It's not really, I can't really explain how my work day is going to go, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's a really great problems to solve. And I think this is really the cusp of where robotics is right now. Like, how do you get robotics to scale? I think a couple of years back, it was, robotics is still very nascent. And now I think we're getting to that point where, yeah, robotics has kind of proved itself to the industry that, oh, it is capable. But now we're at that cusp of okay, how do you now scale robotics?
Yeah.
Is where I think a lot of companies, a lot of startups are struggling with. And that's where we are. And we're trying to, get ahead of that.
My mom worked in manufacturing when I was growing up as a kid. She worked the assembly line, and it was,
Okay.
very repeatable stuff where
Right.
they were assembling piecework for little products that would go in big box stores like Home Depot. And just this continuous work that would be easily replaceable by
Right.
a robot now, where she could have focused on something more
Something else.
fulfilling.
Yeah.
It changes the perception also of what modern manufacturing is. It's no longer
Mhm.
this dirty, grimy thing. It's much more technically advanced.
And a lot more use cases as well, I'd say.
Yep.
Great. It was great talking to you. Have a good day.
You as
Thank
well.
you.
Have a good night. Bye.